Hey, Mary Beth Temple here, and I'm going to show you how to make this cute little project out of upcycled denim jeans. This is a no-sew project. We're going to do some cutting and some gluing, and we're going to wind up with this adorable little coaster or hot pad. So this is what we're after. This little strip is going to be what turns into the coaster. I want to find the side of the jeans that has, this is called a flat felled seam, the side with the double stitching, because that is going to be the sturdiest and that is going to make the coaster hold up and not smush. Now this has a rivet in it, which we don't really need. So literally all I'm going to do is cut this seamed part out of the jeans. I'm going to cut up one side, and I'm going to cut as much as I can until it's a separate piece of fabric. Don't worry about cutting so perfectly at the beginning. You just want to excise it from the jeans. You can go back later and trim off any loose threads. So first we're going to cut. All right, I've cut 2 pieces of seam off of my denim jeans. Now we're going to roll and glue. I like to use the shorter pieces on the inside and the longest one on the outside, because the bigger your piece gets, the less likely is your piece is going to get all the way around. So you want it to hide as many of the joins as you can. Now I'm using E6000 glue. You don't have to use E6000, but stay away from hot glue, because if you put a hot drink on a project made with hot glue, of course the hot glue is going to melt and you are going to ruin your table. So I'm running a bead of glue down the center, and now I'm not going to do the entire strip. I'm not going to glue up the entire strip at once because I don't want the glue to dry before I get there. So I'm going to run a bead of glue for a little ways, and then I'm going to start coiling the fabric in on itself. Once you get it started, it goes a lot more quickly. And with a super strong glue like E6000, you want to keep in that bead in the middle because you don't want to be gluing your fingers together. So I'm going to roll it on itself. See, we have a nice good start there. And I've run out of the area with glue on it, so I'm going to go ahead and run some more glue. So I'm going to do glue and then roll, glue and then roll, glue and then roll, trying not to make a big giant mess. You want to try and keep the piece as flat as it can. It wants to go a little cone-shaped if you're not paying attention, but of course it's not going to be perfectly even on both sides. It's the nature of the fabric. So try and keep it so that the piece stays flat, but don't make yourself crazy. As it gets a little bigger, I like to roll it up against the table. Just helps keep it neat. So I'm coming up on the end of my first piece of fabric, and I'm going to make sure I have a pretty sizable amount of glue on that end. Now, to keep going, all I'm going to do is join the second piece right where the first piece ends. So I'm just going to butt it up there like that. Again, I want to make sure I have a pretty good sized dot of glue when I'm beginning and ending a new strip of fabric. To get a coaster big enough to put my coffee mug on, I went ahead and added a 3rd strip. How much coaster you get for how many strips is going to depend on how tall the person was that was wearing those jeans in the first place and where you cut the seams from. You can also experiment with color. If you look closely, you can see that my 3rd strip was a little bit darker than the other ones. If you know you're going to use a ton of different strips in your project, play with the color placement and make sure that it's the way you want it to be. I went ahead and put a ball-headed straight pin in the end of this to hold it together while it dries, and I'm going to let it dry overnight. But with that E6000 glue, it will stand up to hot and to cold and will last a good long time. So you can make coasters or hot pads of any size you want, depending on how much fabric you have. I'm Mary Beth Temple. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to use my little coaster and put my coffee mug on it. Take care.